Hello, and welcome everybody. Hopefully this time I don't have audio issues because I have my microphone unmuted. So hello everybody, welcome to today's live stream. Give us a shout out where you're from. Gringos or Us's, give us a shout out here. Todd Meek from Playa del Carmen, and actually Gringos or Us are in Morelia. That's a nice place. It's a beautiful place. Actually, I think the American Dream is there in Morelia right now. They have family there. Today, I don't have any other housekeeping to do, like I always do at the beginning, or mention anything of importance. Other than there is a lot of stuff going on in the border right now. There's a lot of shootings going on in Nuevo Laredo. They've sent a lot of military. I'll be doing a video on that. I would stay away from the Nuevo Laredo area. That's just some breaking news. It has nothing to do with this live stream, but that's what's going on. And I usually try to give it about 5 minutes, 10 minutes for people to get in the room. Other than that, today's issue, actually, can everybody hear me? Let me make sure that everybody can hear me first. And we'll go from there. And we have Profe coming in from Puebla. All right, I think everybody could hear me because my audio is saying that it's going through. So, and hello, Evelyn from coming in from California. Today we're going to discuss something about Mexico relocation advice. One of the things that I've done in my previous videos is I've always warned people. It's kind of a confusing thing because I've kind of warned people to stay away from it, paid services, because a lot of people are abusing, or not abusing, but taking advantage of expats. We're having a large influx of people that are coming into into Mexico from the United States and Canada and other areas. And what has happened is that a lot of people have decided to take entrepreneurship opportunities to make money off the expat community and offer services, and which is not a bad idea. I'm not putting down paid services. What we're going to talk about tonight is paid services versus what you can find for free, because what has happened lately is that what I have seen is a lot of people have come in and created these businesses and these expat services when really they don't know anything about Mexico. They just come here to Mexico and I want to create this service for expats. And also, but I'm also going to talk about, and actually what I've noticed is a lot of these YouTubers are starting to get into this. I'm offering consultation services. Pay me, I know one YouTuber was charging as much as $200 for a consultation service. You speak to me straight up, per one-on-one, and ask me any questions you want to ask. Other YouTubers are charging $75, $100, $50, some I think as low as $20 or $30. But one of the things that I offer in advice, and I kind of started offering my own consultation because why should you have to pay for this? And there's a lot of problems with some of these paid services. Now, I'm also here to talk about paid services that are well worth it. I'm not going to tell you don't pay for it. Everything's free. You can do everything for free, and you can. Actually, someone in my Facebook group said, hey, when we got here, we didn't have any help. We did everything by ourselves. We researched everything, and that's the way I did it. I didn't have any help. I did hire a facilitator, but that facilitator that I hired that facilitator the second time around. I got my temporary residency. It's a long story. I didn't go permanent right away. And then I found out, well, I need to get another year so that I could convert it to permanent because I'm married to a Mexican citizen. We had planned to bring a car. And what happened was I hired a facilitator the second time around and said, wow, this is perfect. I mean, the headaches we went through. So this was well worth the money. And in most of my videos, you'll even hear me talk about getting a facilitator is it's well worth it. So we're going to break down the different kinds of services you can get. And also, when we're talking about free, there's a lot of free information on the internet. There's a lot of reasons why you don't need to be paying for consultations, or there's a lot of reasons why you might not be needing to pay for a service, but there's also reasons that you may need to pay for a service. And what I'm finding out, like, for example, I'll give you an example of different people that are offering consultation services. One individual who's offering consultation services has lived in only one area of Mexico, never moved out of that area, never lived anywhere else, but all of a sudden they're an expert on everything Mexico. What if you want to move to a different area? What people don't understand is different area. I live in the north right now. It's totally different than San Miguel de Allende. Things work totally different. So if I'm here to give you advice, I'm going to be giving you advice from where I'm from. And so a lot of times, maybe it might not be worthwhile to pay that $200 for a consultation, or maybe it might not be worthwhile paying $75 or $100 for a consultation with somebody that some of these people have only been here, and maybe they lived here 5 years or lived here a couple of years, or maybe traveled around Mexico, and all of a sudden they claim themselves to be experts. And that's not right. I don't believe that's right. And I think there is a value in paying for information, but I also think that there are a lot of people out there that just want your money, that just want to scam you out of your money. I'll give you another example. Two of these individuals that are offering paid consultation services actually got together and did a video. I did an investigation on a scam that they did. They actually disseminated false information, and to this day refused to even admit that they did. Even when people say, hey, well, maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it was a mistake, but they don't even want to admit that it's a mistake. But I'm going to tell you why they don't want to admit that it's a mistake. Because there's so much competition out there right now that any kind of mistake, for example, if I make a mistake, that messes up my credibility. That messes up my credibility. You're not going to believe me anymore because I made a mistake, or I didn't give out the right information. But, we're talking about integrity here. We're talking about honesty. Making a couple of bucks is not worth lying to your audience. It's not worth trying to keep going with the scam or the lie. And if you look at my videos, I'm not even going to go into it, but these people are out actually asking for your money. One of them's actually starting a GoFundMe campaign so you can pay for his vacation. So, it's just one of these things where I don't really agree with you should pay for everything. But at the same time, there's a lot of good resources that are worth paying for, and I'm going to mention them today. But let's first start with free. What can you get for free on the internet when you're doing your research? Okay, you can get a whole lot of free information. You don't need to pay somebody to tell you what to do, or where to live, or what the weather conditions are in a certain area, or how rentals work. There's a lot of good information. Claude, how you doing? Wilfredo's here. Cindy K's here. Mark Miller. We're going to actually discuss that, Mark. He said something about having everything done through a lawyer. And so there's a lot of free stuff on the internet, free YouTube videos. All my YouTube videos are free. And there's a lot of free stuff. For example, and I've been critical of her in the past, but I still say that she has a very comprehensive website, and I would never steer anybody away from her website. Sonia Diaz. Sonia Diaz has a very, very comprehensive website on everything from getting your residency to, they even wrote a book. That's one of the paid things that she does. You can buy it on Amazon, the Move to Mexico Bible, but that's free. That website is very comprehensive and very up to date. I think maybe once or twice, the information hasn't been too accurate because it's not up to date, but she's corrected it very quickly. Another blog that is very, very good, that's free, you don't have to pay for it, is Mex Experience. And that Mex Experience blog covers everything from even IMSS, the same thing as Sonia Diaz. The other person that gives a plethora of free information is Mexico Relocation Guide. Although they do sell a guide, we're going to go into that later. But even though they sell a guide, they have a whole lot of their information is free. They have a whole YouTube channel with interviews of people living in different places. So you have a lot of free resources. Your first place should not be to go to somebody and pay somebody to ask them questions, or pay somebody to do a video, or pay somebody to answer your question via email. I get it. It's a business. But let me explain something to you. I retired with a 30-year law enforcement career, and I'm not bragging about anything. This is not to brag, but I'm going to tell you in my profession. Most of us, when we retire, I retired with federal experience. Most of us go on to work a second job afterwards, and we do consulting. I've been offered consulting jobs, and I get paid for my 30 years of experience. My 30 years of experience, I get paid $100 an hour if I choose to consult. I don't choose to do it. Or $200 an hour, or depending on how complex the job is. And this is a professional with 30 years of experience that's getting paid $100 to consult a company or a corporation, or $200 or $300. This is not a person that's just lived in a place for 2 or 3 years and you're going to pay them $100 or $200 an hour. This is not making sense here. Now, I understand if you're paying maybe a professional here, a Mexican attorney to do which we're going to go into. Those are people have actual experience with the law. And, I can sit here, I give free consultations, but the point is, let me give you my experience. I've lived here in Mexico for 5 years. I've not only lived here in Mexico for over 5 years, a little over 5 years, I've gone through the medical system here in Mexico. Not only that, but I lived on the border most of my life. And with Mexico, I traveled back and forth to Mexico most of my life. I'm half Mexican. I am married to a wonderful Mexican citizen. And not only that, but I've worked with the Mexican government on a diplomatic level at the highest levels of the government when I was working. Now, all of that sounds impressive. And I can tell you, I'm an expert because of all of that. But I've always told everybody, I'm not an expert. I'm still learning about Mexico. 5 years later, I'm still learning processes. I still have to go to my brother-in-law about legal questions. I still have to ask my wife how certain things work culturally. I still have to ask my family. Sometimes my wife doesn't even have the answer. Sometimes I have to ask my family, hey, how does this work in Mexico? Because I'm still learning. I'm not an expert. I can give you all of these great qualifications. Now, I'm not an expert. Now, I do offer free consultations, but that's because if you really want to talk to somebody, I'll tell you what I think, and I'll help you. But it's one of those things that when you're paying for a service, you need to get a service. You shouldn't be paying somebody to fund their entrepreneur business, because when you're paying for something, you should get what you paid for. And so basically what I'm trying to say is a lot of the things that you can pay $100 for, you can get for free, including the consultations. There's people that offer free services. There's people that offer free information. There's blogs. There's people that blog as a matter of fact, there's a person that posts his blogs on my Facebook group. Gringos Are Us post their travels. Gringos Are Us is a great resource because they're going all around Mexico and they're giving you what their take on it is. They're actually going around Mexico to find out where they want to live. And actually, when they first started out, they went actually through the whole process and they asked me, should we start a YouTube channel? I said, that's a great idea because everybody could get a perspective and they could travel around with you and they could see what every place is like. And from your perspective, being kind of new and you just moved to Mexico, those are the types of things that you want to see. And you don't want to sit there and pay somebody that's lived in one place all their whole life in Mexico and all of a sudden they know how everything works in Mexico. Like I said, certain things, and I've said this, certain things that work in Querétaro or certain things that work in San Miguel de Allende don't work in Monterrey, Mexico that way. It doesn't work that way. And as a matter of fact, you know, as a matter of fact, Cabos, we're going to be in Cabo San Lucas. I'm going to be doing a live stream from Cabo. We're going now in August. But even Baja California is a totally different animal. And when people ask me questions about Baja, usually I refer them to somebody else. And a lot of times I usually say, look, I don't know the whole thing, but let me tell you what I know. Because all of Mexico doesn't work the same way. All of Mexico doesn't work the same way. I could tell you that, oh, it's so easy to get a driver's license without having to take the driver's test. But I can tell you that maybe in Puerto Vallarta, but I can also tell you in Monterrey, I had to take the driver's test in Spanish, and it's a miracle that I passed. I mean, I speak Spanish, but I have to translate, right, back and forth. And so I was taking this test on the computer, and they were saying, okay, you know, it explains when the police officer has his right hand up and everything else, and I'm sitting there doing this, right, okay, left, okay. And they were looking at me really weird because I was translating in my head. And this was I had to finish it in 20 minutes. So for someone to say, oh, it's so easy to get a driver's license in Mexico, you don't have to take the driver's test. That's not necessarily true. Yes, it is true in certain places, but it is not true in other places. And actually, someone just mentioned Brighton is our go-to person for Baja, almost retired in Mexico. Yes, actually, I've come out on Brighton's channel, and he did an interview. He even did a cameo of me. And Brighton I always send people over his way. Mazatlan, I always send people to Bill the Geek's channel because he's out of Mazatlan, Bill Dallas Lewis. And so, you know, we need to watch out for these types of scams. I mean, it's not worth it if you can get a piece of information for free, then you should try to do it yourself. Now, I get it. Sometimes people are busy. Sometimes people don't have the time. Maybe I want some type of source that I can just go ask all my questions and everything else. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to do that, make sure the person you're going to the person you're going to hire to consult is worth paying that $75 or $200 or $300. Also, I forgot to mention Kuru Paul. He has been inactive in his videos lately, but he has great videos on everything from basic things on what's a CORP, what's an RFC, what's all of those things, how's the immigration work. So that's another good resource. I forgot to mention him. Even though I did call him out. Like I said, I will send you to the right places, and his place is one of the right places to go to, even if I don't agree on certain things. But basically, if you're going to pay, make sure that it's worth it. Like I said, there's plenty of free resources. And even if you want a consultation, I'm here for free. I'm giving my consultations for free. And I probably have, I'm not trying to brag, but I have more qualifications to be talking, unquote, consulting than some of these people that are charging $50 or $100 or $75 a month. But now let's go to paying. I get it, like I was talking about before. Sometimes you just want to, hey, I'll pay for the information. I just want somewhere to go to get all my questions answered. Well, then there's nothing wrong with that, but make sure you research the person that you're going to be paying. And also, I understand that some of these YouTubers, you want to support them. They work hard. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not easy being a YouTuber. I don't put out videos as often as some of these people do. It's a lot of work. And so if you feel like actually sitting down and saying, you know what, I'll pay you for a consultation, not necessarily because I need the information, but I want to donate to your cause. I'll give you $50 to donate to your cause, or maybe you want to donate. There's other ways of donating. You can get in their chats. I get into Bill Dallas Lewis's, and I give him $5 here and there in the chats. They go live. there's nothing wrong with paying these people or donating to these people because you're fans of theirs. Some people have Patreons. But the problem is in today's economy, we have to be careful with our money, where we spend it. The problem, and I've noticed this in the software world. I always give this analogy in the software world. We've gone to this system of subscriptions. Everything's a subscription. I need to subscribe to my Apple Music. No longer do I own the CDs. I subscribe to my software. The software that I'm using right now, I subscribe. I pay $300. Even though there's a free option, I pay a yearly fee for this software. Adobe Premiere, I don't use that software, but Adobe Premiere is a subscription model. So we've gone to these subscriptions. And what we also have gone to in social media is this whole new world of influencers and this whole new world of YouTube and the whole new world. How are we going to compensate these people for what the hard work that they do? Well, YouTube tries to do that through revenue and sharing, but that's not really how most YouTubers make money. But they also make money off of, like I have even said, sponsorships. You need to be very careful when they start pushing a product. They can be pushing a product for financial reasons, not necessarily because it's the best thing that they found. And now there's also these types of things of donate money, donate to my PayPal, send me Bitcoin. Those are different revenue streams that YouTubers make for the hard work that they do. And we're all adults here. I'm not here to tell you don't pay for a paid consultation, but I'm just telling you that if you're going to spend your hard-earned money, we need to really sit down and spend it very carefully, because this is not the economy's not getting any better. And $100 here in Mexico can buy you a lot of groceries. So, just be careful and don't buy into this guy's an expert because he knows everything about Mexico because he's on YouTube. And no, that's not the way it works. People are sharing their experience. The experience I can share is what I've experienced with like I gave you my qualifications. I can share my experience of doing those things. But I even said, if you ask me 50 million questions about Baja, I have a hard time answering them. I try to answer them the best that I can, but those are the things that you need to look at. And I think that what's happened here too is honesty. There's been a lot of misinformation, a lot of people that are trying to get credibility. And I'm not just talking about the investigation that I did. It kind of started frustrating me probably about a year ago. I started seeing this trend about a year ago. There was a guy out of Puerto Vallarta that helps with license plates and driver's licenses. And he was trying to tell people at the time, they were cracking down on immigration. And he was trying to tell people that don't carry your resident card around, carry a driver's license. And I argued with the guy and I'm like, no, trust me, immigration is not going to take a driver's license. And the reason behind him telling everybody, and he was giving his expert advice, because if you lose your resident card, it's going to be really hard. But if you lose your driver's license, it's not a big deal. And don't worry, immigration will take your driver's license, which wasn't true. But what was it? There was a motive behind it. The motive was, I can help you get your driver's license. I can help you get your license plates. So conveniently, why don't you get a driver's license, but you can hire me to get it for you? So you need to look at the motives behind a lot of businesses. Now, before I start putting down all of these businesses and you think, okay, you're telling me nobody's honest, no, there's plenty of honest people out there. And if you want to spend your hard-earned money, which I was getting to and I haven't gotten to yet, you need to spend it on things that are worth it. For example, I do know Mexico Relocation Guide. They have a plethora of free information. But Mexico Relocation Guide also sells a guide. And the price seems quite hefty. I have a 10% coupon for my viewers, and I will be putting in the description of the video. Just give me till tomorrow, because I usually the next day I edit out the first 5 minutes. But I'll put the thing there. And you might think, well, shoot, $600 or $500 or whatever they charge. I don't know what the price is right now for the guide, but it's a lot of money. But this is a lifetime. You get lifetime access to this guide. This guide has individuals like lawyers, facilitators, private insurance, if you need to buy private insurance, all of that. And these people are vetted, they're interviewed. And the person that runs Mexico Relocation Guide doesn't get a kickback from any of these people. And so you know that you can go to this guide and you say, I'm moving to Querétaro, I need a facilitator. I'm going to go into the guide. I'm going to find a trusted facilitator. I don't have to ask anybody on Facebook. I don't have to. And listen, I'm not trying to push this guide because I don't make any money off of it. I'm not an affiliate of it. But this is an example of paid information that is worth purchasing. Now, if you don't have the money to purchase it, then that's fine. There's plenty of free information too. But I have access to that guide. I've seen what's in the guide, and it's got legitimate, good information with recommended people, everything from lawyers, real estate agents, everything. And all these people have been vetted, okay? Let me tell you another scam with expat services. Another scam is, I'll help you out. Oh, you're gonna move here? Okay, I'll help you find an apartment. Okay, I'll help you. I'll even go on apartment tours. I'll charge you $100 or I'll charge you nothing at all. And it sounds like a great deal, because you're going to have a guy go, and they even go in around the apartments. They take video. They send it back to you. They do all the legwork for you. And what you don't know in the background is that they are looking for apartments, but they're utilizing a buddy of theirs who's the realtor who finds the apartments that gives them a kickback for finding the apartment. So they get $100 off of you, and then they get $100 off the person that they found the apartment for. I mean, not the person that would the realtor. So a lot of these things. Oh, it's $4.95. Okay, and I have a 10% coupon, the Mexico Relocation Guide. But a lot of these things, even though it seems like, oh, I want to help you. Oh, I can help you go house hunt. I can help you do all of those things. But you're limiting yourself to the real estate. And here's the thing. Okay, fine. That's the way real estate works. You go to buy a house and another realtor shows the house, they get a percentage, right? That it works that way. Here in the United States, I know that. You pay a 6% commission when you sell your house. And if, let's say, the listing realtor doesn't sell it, but another realtor sells it, they split the commission. So I understand that. That's a business, that's a way of doing business. But what I'm trying to say is that you're limiting yourself to that person's realtor, okay? And a lot of times, and I'll be honest with you, some of those realtors you don't know who the realtor is. And I know one case where the realtor's involved in several real estate scams, and they were selling property in areas that's illegal to sell because it's what they call ejido land. And right now, that individual, that lawyer is, and the real estate people are in a lot of trouble. But they're in a lot of trouble, but that was about 3 years after they already took deposits on had made several $1 million off of these places. So you need to be very careful. When you find your own realtor, or you go to somewhere like the Mexico Relocation Guide, and you find that realtor, and you know they've been vetted, you know they're legal, you know they belong to the Realty Association and all of that stuff, then you know, and even if they go and find another listing from another realtor and they're getting a kickback, you know that you're doing it, you know that you're doing it with a legitimate realtor. And I gave you advice this last time on how to find what to look for when you're looking for a realtor. So there are valuable services. The other service that I think that's very important that you should pay for, some people have argued with me, but it all depends. It depends what kind of personality you have and how persistent you want to do it. And I will tell you, if you do it by yourself and you do it for free, it's a sense of accomplishment, because when I got my first residency, it was a sense of accomplishment. But residency, I've always suggested to hire a facilitator. A facilitator makes everything a lot easier. You just go and you give them your documents. They fill out everything for you. They make sure you have everything together. It saves you a lot of trips to the immigration office. I probably made 10 trips. The first time I got here to Mexico and I was applying for my residency, I made probably 10 trips to the immigration office because I made about probably 10 trips because every time I went there, I was missing a document. And then when we went back to renew my temporary for 1 year, and then because it's a long story. Like I said, I should have done 2 years to begin with, but I didn't know. And that was one of the drawbacks, that we did it ourselves. We didn't know. So we just got the 1 year, and then we said, oh, I'll just, our plans fell through, so I'm just going to convert it to permanent. Oh, no, you have to be here 2 years as a temporary, married to a Mexican citizen. So I had to do it another year. So I went and got a facilitator. And awesome. It was none. I didn't even have to show. All I had to do was show up to the immigration office to sign. And then whenever my other year expired, I called the facilitator, but that was a facilitator here in Monterrey. They got all my paperwork together, and I showed up. And by that time, the first 2 times, you had to wait for several months to get your card. The second time, walked in, I walked out with literally, I just had to show up for my appointment to get my card, sign, do my biometrics, and I was gone. So a facilitator is going to do you a lot of good. So that's a perfect example where you do want to pay. Maybe paying, a little bit extra money is going to save you a lot of the hassle. But you can still do the process for free. I'm not telling you that you can't. And that's the trick here in Mexico. If you really want to do things for free, you can. And actually, somebody just commented on my live stream that I announced on Facebook. They say they did everything. They did everything by themselves. And they even didn't speak the language. They say people were helping them. People in the neighborhood that they moved into would help them. People that spoke English would help them and translate when they were at the INM office. They even got special attention at the INM office because the only one that spoke English was the head of the INM office where they did their residency. So it is possible to do these things for free. But yeah, sometimes you want to pay, and it's more convenient for somebody to do it for you. So you just need to be very aware. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is be aware. And when you're going to pay for a service, just make sure you pay for a service with good intention. And like I said, it's your hard-earned money. And right now, in the times of, I don't have a Patreon, but I know I have even friends that run podcasts that have Patreons, and I personally am a Patreon because I want to support their project because I believe in what they're doing. But even now, it's hard because I'm paying 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. That's 50 bucks that I could be paying for groceries. And I've had to drop some on my Patreons. And, I'm sorry, guy, but I'm your friend and everything else. But I had to drop my $10 a month subscription to help you out because it's just not feasible anymore. These business models are not working anymore because, and actually what's happening with these business models, I even use a subscription again. I know this is not related, but I have so many subscriptions that after $200 later, $300 later, I have to put $300 in my budget for subscriptions. I don't pay $300. I think it's a little less. But, I pay $15 a month for each iPhone to get it covered and everything else. And $15, $10, $20, $100, not $100, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, that adds up. And before you know it, you're paying $300, a month for something that you're used to. And so you need to be very careful. And so let's go ahead and that was my message that I wanted to say. I know that maybe people were expecting me to say, oh, no, you can do everything for free. Yes, you can. And you can pay also. But just be very careful because, like I said, and I saw this a lot with people that were, even with YouTube, is I see a lot of these people that live in a certain area. Okay, I live on the beach. I live in Rivera Maya. And the next thing you know, they're telling you, okay, this is how you handle the cops. This is how you, well, Rivera Maya is a tourist area. The police act different than they act in Morelia. I can tell you they act a lot differently here in Monterrey. So if I'm going to do a video about, hey, the police are all corrupt here in Mexico, because this is my experience here in Monterrey, Mexico, or Rivera Maya, because this is the only place I've lived, that doesn't mean the cops are corrupt all over Mexico. It means that they're corrupt in the Rivera Maya, or it means that they're corrupt here in Monterrey. And I try to do the best I can to be, whenever I do my videos, I try to do my research to make sure that I give a perspective from the area that it is. I have the advantage of having a network of people that can really, I have that advantage of having a network that I can rely on to ask questions. When I do my videos, trust me, it's not all my research. My videos come from legal experts, facilitators, people that are actually, I'm connected to a whole network of lawyers through WhatsApp. And also even ex-government officials that I used to work with. And now they can't tell me like, oh, this is what's going on, but they can guide me and say, you know what, this is the law, this is the way it works. You know what, this is how it's working here, and this is why it's not working there. I found this out with immigration a lot, is that immigration doesn't work. Each immigration office is this own little kingdom. And so what the regularization program in one place isn't the same regularization program that it is in another area. So you got to just take that in consideration. So when someone's on a YouTube video saying, hey, they got this great program, you don't have to qualify. Yeah, but maybe their program works where you're living right now, but it doesn't work in another area. You need to give the whole story. You need to say, and actually, when I did it, the thing about the regularization program going away, I will say, okay, in Mérida, they're still accepting it. In Guadalajara, every 6 months, 6 months, they don't have it. 6 months, they do. And so, and the same thing. You're not, just because someone and the other big thing that comes out is 180 days is guaranteed. You're going to get 180 days. That's not necessarily the fact. It might be certain airports. There's no, I always like what Kuru Paul always used to say. The only consistency in Mexico is inconsistency. And that's the truth. There's no consistent answer to anything here. And what I mean by no consistent answer is I'm not saying that one day they're this way and the next day they're that way. No, I'm saying the consistency is it works one way here and it doesn't work another way in another area. And I always preach that you need to know the rules, but yeah, maybe the rules are more seriously enforced in one place than they are in the other. But it's still important that you know the rules. So let's take your questions. I know there was a couple of comments that interested me that I think I should share with everybody. Actually, Gringos Are Us. They just made the point. We have 5 scriptures that we utilize for production, that they have to actually pay for production. So that's something that, there's expenses with running a YouTube channel. They run a YouTube channel, and also, like I said, that's just that's an example of how these subscription services can take you down a certain path. But it's the same thing with expat services. And somebody made a comment. So agree, YouTube exists to help vloggers monetize and get the most watched profitable algorithm. That's true. And here's the thing with my channel, and I'm gonna say it right now, is that I am not out to get subscribers. I'm not out for views. I'm out to just spread the word and the information that I need to spread. I don't get paid for this. And my monetization, trust me, YouTube's paying a lot less money now than they were before. And even before, I was lucky if it was even $100 or if I broke the $100 mark for a payout. But, you know, and Gringos R Us made the comment that it's $4.95 for the guide. I also have a 10% coupon that works when you're purchasing the guide. And Rob EJC, it's a terrific tool, and I use it quite often. That's probably she talking about the guide, the Mexico Relocation Guide. And it's got everything in there, everything you need for moving, and it's constantly updated. And not only that, but if you're a subscriber to the guide, you even get access to a special Facebook group with actual experts in the Facebook group that'll answer your questions. And Mariana is from Mexico. She grew up in the United States, but she lives in Austin, but she grew up in Mexico. She's from Mexico City. And she moved at an early age. And so she knows a lot about Mexico, and she writes emails. She even has an email list that they send out. Oh, guess what? This has changed. This has changed at this consulate. So for your $495, you're not just getting a one-time guide. You're getting all the services that come along with it. And Cindy, Gringos R Us, yes, too pricey for me. I understand, Cindy, and that's why I made a comment that she has a plethora of free information on there. And the reason why I push Mexico Relocation Guide is for a reason, because I actually have gone through the guide. I have actually seen the guide. I've actually talked to the person. I've actually done YouTube videos with her. And I don't ask any money. As a matter of fact, she even has, and we've even discussed it on my YouTube videos, to do sponsorships, and I don't accept the sponsorships. I literally tell her, no, I'm gonna promote you for free, and because this is a valuable service. So, and then the other resource that I think on the Kindle, it's $10. I don't know how much it is, but you can get it on Amazon, the Move to Mexico Bible. It's written by Sonia Diaz and another, I think Sonia is the one that put her input in, and there's another person that wrote the actual book. But you can get that out, and it goes through everything from areas of Mexico to the chapters are broken down. First, you need to choose where you want to live. Okay, Mexico City. Well, it's a big city, and it describes the city. So, those are paid resources that are well worth paying $10 for. It's a lot better than paying $40 for an email answer. I'm telling you right now, because it's an actual more comprehensive book. Wilfredo, in the U.S., real estate agents cannot legally give kickbacks. In order to get a cut, you need to be one of the two agents. Yes, that's true. But here in Mexico, I did mention in my last stream, here in Mexico, real estate is not regulated. Real estate is not regulated. So, and there is an association of real estate. That's when I was telling you, I'm actually going to bring a real estate agent on. There's an association here that people get certified or whatever. I forgot, AMPI, I believe the name of the real estate association, but not everybody's a member of that, and not everybody's you don't need a license to sell real estate here. So technically, I could go out and find you a piece of property and tell the real estate agents, give me 5% or 2% for finding this person, or give me a kickback. So let me see here. And Gringos R Us. This is a perfect example for facilitator. Our facilitator actually stood in line, and then someone picked us up to take us to the office. And that you can get services all the way from they'll stand in line for you to now some offices, they won't let the facilitator stand in line. So maybe what the facilitator will do is tell you to show up at such and such a time and stand in line, but they have all your paperwork ready. When you get to the front of the line, they'll have all your paperwork ready. They can't go in with you. You have to go in by yourself. In most offices, I don't know of an office where they will let you go in, the facilitator go in with you, but you should have everything together. And usually a lot of times too, since the facilitators work on a daily basis with immigration, usually their stack of files that they bring in the morning gets attended to first. And that's just because they bring in a whole stack and they have a working relationship, not because they're paying anybody off. I'm almost sure there probably are some that have paid, but usually it's because they have a good working relationship with the immigration there. how much, Kai, how much do you think it would cost to renew my temporary resident visa for 3 more years, Ernie? Actually, Kai, I don't know the exact prices, but I will tell you one thing. Mexico Relocation Guide, if you go to, and I try to leave them, if you go to her website, she actually has the immigration fees. They went up this year, and she has them broken down into, and it's free. You don't have to pay. This is part of the Mexico Relocation Guide's free information. But you can find that. There's and I think Mex Experience also has the immigration fees. Just look up immigration fees, and that's what you're going to have to pay, Kai. You won't have to show. They might ask you to show financial solvency again, but they don't. They ask you for financials, but nobody's ever gotten denied. But the 3-year thing, I don't have the amounts off the top of my head, but I do know Mexico Relocate. If you go to Mexico, HTTPS, MexicoRelocationGuide.com/visas. If you find their main page, because usually their main page goes to where you want to buy the guide, but if you go to their, if you take out on the address bar, the main page, you go to after it says MexicoRelocation.com. Just put in /visa or visas. And that's actually the web page that I showed everybody where I was showing them the consulates. When I was, I actually went live and I was showing the consulates. And maybe if I have a little bit of time, I'm at 51 minutes, I'm almost at my hour. Maybe I can bring it up right now. And when someone was mentioning, Mark Miller was saying, we used Chapala Law, and they accompanied me each time to the appointment. And actually, Mark, that's what's his name? That is part of the Chapala Law. Actually, I was going to have him on my channel. We just never got around to it. He was going to help me with what happens if you die in Mexico. What's his name? Very reputable. They do a lot of things, not just immigration. And the guy's a lawyer from the United States. He's also a lawyer, studied here in Mexico too. If it's the same people that I'm thinking of. Oh, barely pennies and royalties. That's true. Like I said, there's plenty of things here that you can get for free. Let me see if I can pull up right now. I think it's if I'm not right. And I will have links to Mexico Relocation Guide. Let me see if I can pull up their, and they'll talk, it breaks down the immigration piece, I believe. Let me see here. I'm going to bring up another page here. Spencer McMullen. Yes, that's him. They're very, very, very well-known, lawyer there in the Chapala, Guadalajara area. And Spencer is great people. He also, a facilitator. Oh, okay, Kai. Actually, Kai's asking the facilitator. I was pulling up the actual piece. The facilitator is going to charge you. There's different prices depending on where you go. Usually, if you're going to pay, there's some facilitators that'll say 20,000 pesos or 30,000 pesos. Don't trust me. And they say it's guaranteed. Don't go with them. I think the going rate, actually, Gringos Are Us. If you're still here, I think they said they spent $150, if I'm not mistaken, on the facilitator. It's probably more now, to be honest with you. The facilitator is going to probably charge you the same amount of money, whether it's 2 years, 1 year, or 3 years, because it's the same paperwork. They're just checking a different box. Now with the peso exchange rate, like I said, 150 bucks may be a little bit more. But the reason why I'm pointing out Gringos R Us, I know the facilitator that Gringos R Us used. If I'm not mistaken, it was Yvonne Pavan out of Querétaro, and she's a little bit more expensive. What I mean by a little bit more expensive is by a couple of dollars, not by hundreds of dollars. And so Yvonne Pavan's fee of 150 bucks to get all of that stuff done per person probably is about right, to be honest with you, for a good facilitator. Probably a little bit more. Probably now it's going to be 3,000 pesos, anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000. Some of the more well-known some of the most well-known facilitators are going to charge a pretty penny. Sonia Diaz, her rates have gone up, but you're paying for the name. But you're also paying for the fact that Sonia Diaz is reputable. And also, Sonia's kept her prices down. If you see some of her posts on her thing, she says, if you pay more than $300 or $200, they're scamming you. And she's right. Ramon Garcia, Ola from San Francisco area, born in Tamaulipas, grew up in Chicago, Burbs, and McAllen. Actually, I grew up in McAllen too, Ramon. Retired in January, planning to explore Mexico for a few months in my minivan starting in the fall. You're gonna love it, Ramon. And I grew up in McAllen also. Actually, my dad was a professor at the university. He was a dean at the university down there. That's how I ended up down in McAllen. Oh, in Edinburgh, actually. So, welcome, and I hope you have a great time. And actually, Ramon's saying, hoping to meet up with Gringos R Us, Brighton West, Ernie, and others. Yep, if you come through we'll see what we can do. I think they're all very apt to want to meet. I've met up with several people. I actually even helped Gringos R Us come up here across the border. So, Kai, I was quoted 325. That sounds right. A couple of months ago, for a facilitator to do everything, I just show up for my fingerprints. Yes, actually, Kai, that's probably going to sound about right. You got to remember when we were quoting about 3,000 pesos, that was in Querétaro. You're talking about the DF, and probably depending on who you got quoted by, if it's one of the more well-known facilitators, they're going to ask you for about 6,000. I don't know if there's a separate charges for 2 or 3 years, but 6,000 pesos is not unusual for a facilitator. If they're a very good facilitator, that's not unusual. Jorge Gonzalez in San Diego is a great facilitator with links to Rosarito INM. Get your card in a day, and more expensive than most. Yes, I don't. Rob, how much does Jorge Gonzalez charge? So we know what is more expensive. And any questions before I wrap it up? Now, I will mention, Kai, you probably could get a cheaper price there in Mexico City, but I actually, Kai, reach out to me via, I think you have my email. Reach out to me via email. I'll give you another name of another guy that does a lot of, he's from the United, I'm not sure if he's from Canada. He lives in Querétaro, but he does a lot of immigration processes. What impressed me a lot is they had a crisis in Querétaro where there was an immigration officer being paid off. This was when the regularization program started. And it's a long story. And this guy, his name's Guy Corchenzi, he actually, what happened was when they busted the immigration official, because it's a long story, but $600, okay, that's a little bit high, but like I said, probably that's a little bit, 600 is a little bit high, but if he's really good, then it all depends. But Guy, the thing with Guy is that everybody, when they caught this immigration officer taking bribes, and these people were from Mahihic, They were totally clueless. They didn't know this was a scam. They didn't know the immigration officer was being paid. And long story short, they revoked all of their visas. I mean, all of their temporary residency cards, and basically told them, so bad, so sad, because you got it through corruption. And Guy Corchenzi was the one that helped fix it up. He went to the actual delegada there. They call them a delegada, the ones that do investigations for immigration. He worked almost a year on getting these people their temporary residency back. And most of them did get their temporary residency back. He's really good. And he actually fixed some stuff up for one of my friends that went and did it in Mexico City. I don't know how much he charges, but I can pass his information on to you, Kai. And Rob EJC says $600. I'm not sure if that's just for one person or for permanent, because for permanent usually get charged a little bit more. If I'm not mistaken, when I did it here in Monterrey, but I did it here with a facilitator, not that the facilitator I did it with doesn't cater to the American. Oh, okay. This is why it cost $600. Included a round trip ride from San Isidro and lunch and the way back. So it was full service. So I can understand why it was $600. But I think we paid like about 1,800 pesos the first time. And then we had to pay probably a little bit more, like 2,500 pesos when we went for a permanent, because it was a different process. So that's what, but email me and I'll send you his information. You can get a hold of him through WhatsApp. Kai. Any other questions before I wrap it up? Anything additional that you want to add to what I've said? Okay, well, we'll sit down and we'll call it a night for that. But just remember, if you're going to pay for services, just make it worth it. I mean, I know how it is, and you know what? Mexico's getting more expensive now. Not to the point where it's more expensive than the United States. I almost cringe when I go back to the United States and see the differences in cost. But it is going up here, and you are going to start getting to the point, and this is a worldwide problem that's going on. It's inflation. It's all sorts of things. But just make sure that you make it worth your while. I'm having to sit down and reevaluate my subscriptions. I'm having to sit down and reevaluate, as a matter of fact, OBS Studio is I have a Mac, so I pay a subscription to this software that I'm using right now. I may switch soon to start saving some bucks. And this model of, it was a good model when it first started. Hey, donate money. I do a lot of hard work. Donate money to my YouTube channel. Please donate. Well, that was because you're paying these guys for doing some hard work. There's nothing wrong with donating money. But when that donating money is taking out of your hard-earned cash that's paying for food and gas, you need to start being a little bit more careful of what you want to spend your money on. And if you have the money or the disposable money or the income to do it, then I would advise go for something like the Mexico Relocation Guide. Why are you going to pay somebody a professional consulting fee? Like I said, right now, if I go out and do a consulting job, I charge my fees for doing a consulting job in law enforcement to a major company. My consulting fees will be anywhere from $250 to $600 an hour. Okay. And that's from somebody that has 30 years experience in doing whatever I'm going to be consulting in. Okay. So why are you going to be paying somebody $200 an hour for quote, quote, expert advice when the expert advice is the person just lived here for a couple of years and they can share what happened to them? that doesn't make too much sense. And everybody's out to be an expert now. And here's what I'm going to leave everybody with. I am going to tell you right now, there is no such thing as an expert here in Mexico. And let me repeat, there is no such thing as an expert on moving to Mexico. And that's the truth. All that I can do as a YouTuber, all that anybody can do as a YouTuber is share their experiences. Now, is YouTube not, don't watch other YouTubers, don't listen to other YouTubers? No. What I always tell people when it comes to Facebook groups, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to all that stuff, I always say, grab the information, take it for what it's worth, take whatever is useful for you. And then, like I even said in the Facebook groups, if somebody answers a question, you look for the most consistent answer. Usually that's going to be your answer. The most consistent answer is going to be your answer. Because everybody has different experiences. And GYBK, hello, I need updates on the regularization program. You know what? I haven't been keeping up with the regularization program. The last consult I did was someone was saying that it was still available, but that consult was when I started doing consults, and they were in Merida, and they were gonna, Merida's probably the most lenient office on the requirements. But the problem is that program gets reevaluated at every immigration office every 6 months. So I really don't have any updates, to be honest with you. I've been really busy, so I haven't reached out to my contacts. I haven't reached out to people to say, hey, what's going on with the regularization program? But you know what, GYPK, I'll tell you what I will do. I will do a video. I've been looking for video suggestions. I have one coming up on a safety alert, another one on challenges for older people than when they come here. And I'll definitely put that on my list on the regularization program, but I have to look into it. I'm being totally honest with you. I don't know what the status is right now. New Mexico relocation is worth it for going to use it and waste the money. Is worth it if you're going to use it and waste the money if you're not. Mariana did a wonderful job putting that together, vetting all the contractors. Yes, Blaine, that's exactly my point, is all of the information in that guide is vetted. So really the guide, and I'm going to tell you what the truth on this guide is, and it's not bad news, but a lot of the information that she gives in the guide is standard information that you can find on the internet for free. And she also gives a lot of it for free. A lot of the guide stuff that's in the guide is also, she gives it for free. But the big value to the guide, and I think you're right, Blaine, if you're going to use it, then it's worth it. If you're not going to use it, and of course, anything that you're not going to, I mean, if I go buy a $3,000 piece of equipment for my YouTube setup, which I found out really quick, if I go buy it and I don't use it, it wasn't worth the money. And it's exactly what you're saying right here. But the one advantage to the Mexico relocation guide is all the contacts. That what Mariana has done is basically said, okay, you're going to move to San Miguel de Allende. Here's the recommended facilitators for San Miguel de Allende. Oh, you need to get your driver's license in San Miguel de Allende? Here's my recommended list of facilitators that handle driver's licenses. Oh, you need a lawyer in San Miguel de Allende, or you need to buy insurance in San Miguel de Allende? Here's an insurance agent that I suggest. And usually there's a list of 2 or 3. And what she does is she actually solicits, okay, she goes into groups and says, okay, who's a real estate agent in San Miguel de Allende? Okay. And then what she does is when she finds a real estate agent, she interviews them, tells them, what can you bring to the table? I want to put you in my guide. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your certifications. Can you speak English? Can you speak Spanish? Do you speak, how do you do your listings? How do you do? She does a whole interview and they make it into the guide. And at the same time, if those people start misbehaving, I don't know. And I know that she's done it before. Someone will start misbehaving and not be totally on the up and up, or she takes them out of the guide. And so she assures that the people that she recommends are valid people, that are reputable people and reputable services. And she puts a lot of work into that. I've even helped her with contacts here in Monterrey and finding a realtor. But even when I found the realtor, she went, and I haven't talked to Mariana since, but I don't even know, I haven't even looked in the guide, but I don't even know if she put that person in the guide, because Mariana has some very strict requirements before you can even be placed in the guide as a recommended person. And she always keeps going, and she keeps going back and back and back, and she keeps refreshing that. That's what she does for a living. She does it every day. And she's also does this thing with the consulates. She keeps the list of consulates, what their financial requirements are, up to date as much as she can whenever they come out. She does YouTube videos on everything. Actually, the latest one that I saw was on how to get residency, how residency works. Very, very straightforward video. So she has a lot of things to offer, both free and paid. So, and thanks so much. We'll look forward to further info. I will try to get to that as soon as I can, GYBK. My release schedule hasn't been as consistent as it was before because I've been moving, but I promise you guys, I'll get it. I'm trying to get it more consistent. My next live stream, I will have a live stream on Sunday. We don't leave till the, let me see, I think it's the 18th of August. Oh no, the 8th of August. And we're gonna be there on the weekend of the 13th. So I'll probably doing on the week of the 8th of August through the 13th, I'm gonna be doing a live stream from Cabo, San Lucas. That one I'm going to be doing with mobile equipment, so it's not going to be as fancy as this live stream, but I'm hoping to do it. The sound might not be as good, but I'm hoping to do the live stream just to say hello from Cabo San Lucas and just give you a little bit of a, hey, I'm here. And this next weekend live stream will still be here on Sunday, hopefully, depending on my schedule. I try to keep it every Sunday. So we'll see you soon. And as I always say, stay safe and stay informed.